I was a lonesome cowboy, lonesome as I could be. Then you came along.
Wow.
Toy Story 4 was an emotional roller coaster. After almost 25 years since the original film, the Toy Story franchise is debatably one of the greatest film franchises of all time, and they are certainly staples of Pixar overall, just like how SpongeBob is for Nickelodeon or how Mickey Mouse is for Disney. Now, do they need a fourth film in this franchise? Well, no. No is the easy answer to that. However, that does not mean that this film sucks or anything like that. Was it my favorite of the four films? No, it wasn't. But forget my opinion. Today I'm joined by VERIDIS Joe, RUSHAANSBSP, That Other George, DALLSMICK, and Baseball Sam 1 to review probably the most anticipated movie of 2019, an exception to Endgame, Toy Story 4. Note that there are spoilers in this review, but other than that, let's jump into it.
Hey guys, it's VERIDIS Joe. Toy Story 4, in my opinion, has to have one of the best plots out of all of the movies. Then again, I love all of them equally and watch them frequently enough to keep that opinion. Google and everyone else will have you believe that the plot is a road trip movie with some existentialism, but the story is one of existentialism that involves a road trip. See, it's the other way around. The plot of Toy Story 4 takes place 2 years after Andy gives the toys to Bonnie in Toy Story 3. The movie opens up with Andy and the gang saving a toy named RC in the usual Toy Story fashion, but it also shows us the moment where Bo gets taken away. In Toy Story 3, we knew she was gone, but never saw that happen. You assume she's getting a new family, but as you soon learn later, she spends her years on a shelf until eventually she becomes what we know as a lost toy and is on her own. She's found purpose in this and it's played parallel to Woody's situation. See, Bonnie isn't playing with Woody like she used to, but is still playing with all the other toys. And it's really getting to him because the toy clearly wants to, be played with. It's supposed to be their purpose, so Woody's kind of having a crisis here. This movie explores what exactly that purpose is with the introduction of Forky. See, Bonnie can't bring a toy to kindergarten, which makes her uneasy, so unbeknownst to her, Woody comes to help her make a toy in class, and that toy is Forky. And that toy is alive. Side note, this changes the concept of what a toy is and what the meaning of life and how they're created. I don't know if this is an allegory for something, but yeah, do with what you will with that one. Forky has a hard time realizing his purpose, but over the course of the film, he realizes what he has to do, or rather what he wants to do, and what he thinks what he has to do is babysit him. The family goes on a road trip with some of the toys to come with, obviously, the main cast, and Forky jumps out of the RV when no one's keeping watch. It's up to the gang to go find them, but they get tangled up in things that happen in the movie. As he said to Bo, it's all he has left, at least in his mind. He feels useless, and because of that, he has to find Forky and explain to him just how important he is to Bonnie. He feels like the constant life of kid to kid isn't doing it for him anymore, and he has no purpose. After the journey that this movie is, he realizes that he doesn't exactly need a kid, but also reminds Bo that kids are important. She forgot how important being a toy was. Not to say her being lost was bad, but she wasn't lost at all. The actual lost one was Woody. Woody makes a self-sacrifice by giving up his working voice box to give another doll like him a chance at being with a kid. This doll's name is Gabby Gabby, and she's always wanted to be with this certain kid. Originally, we thought she was more antagonistic, but she really just wanted love. The moment when she gets the voice box and the girl she always had her eyes on rejects her, she loses hope, but Woody tells her that every toy has a kid. In the end, she does find a kid who is also looking for someone else. Woody finds his way when he leaves Buzz and the gang with Bo, Officer Giggles, and the two hilarious Key and Peele characters. Now this is when I lost it. I tried, oh Lord knows I heckin' tried not to cry the whole movie. I tried not when Woody and Bo got separated. I tried not when Gabby asked Woody how good it felt being loved and appreciated as a toy. But I found my eyes running, and then I turned to each of my friends. They were all crying too. For the first time in forever, it wasn't just me crying in a theater. I may be a big baby, but it tugged at all of our heartstrings. In the end, your purpose isn't laid out for you. You gotta find it yourself. You find what makes you happy. I found what makes me happy, and that's getting emotional and crying over toys that have gotten themselves in very existential but thought-provoking situations. But, that's just me.
Hello everyone, my name's Rashawn, and in this Toy Story 4 review, I'll be taking a look at the characters in this movie. Woody being the main character in Toy Story 4, Tom Hanks did an amazing job in voicing this beloved character. Woody being very protective of Bonnie's happiness, protecting Forky, and having a lot of stress in his hands, meeting Bo Peep was like an angel coming to Woody, as Bo Peep tells how awesome it is to becoming a lost toy. Bo Peep being a lost toy for a while now, she is having a lot of fun meeting new friends and going to parties. Woody finally has a change of mind and realizes how much he loves being a lost toy. Woody being the heart of the Toy Story franchise, it's so sad to see him go, but it's an amazing closure to Woody's story. We've seen Andy's story close up in Toy Story 3, and now in Toy Story 4, we're seeing Woody's story closing up. Bo Peep is like the heart of the movie. Bo Peep is such a cool character in this movie. She is so strong, and she is a lost toy. She persuades Woody into living like a lost toy. I love the introduction to the movie, and it closes up the mystery of where Bo Peep went in Toy Story 3. Anyways, Bo Peep now finally being with Woody in the end is very nice. Bo Peep is one of the original characters in the original movie. She was one of the first characters in the Toy Story franchise, and it's cool to see her being one of the main characters, finally getting a closure as well to her story. Forky! Forky, the new addition to the Toy Story cinematic universe. Jokes aside, this character is my favorite character in the entire movie. His humor and the overall design, it's just so funny. Forky was clueless in the beginning of the movie, thinking he was trash as he was made out of trash. But Forky learns that Bonnie loves Forky, and it means a lot to her. Gabby is so creepy. Like, look at this thing. She literally wanted a part in Woody's body. She never gave up. And when watching this movie, I was a little scared. It was like Toy Story 4 turned into a horror movie. Anyways, one thing I really didn't like about Gabby is how Gabby turned into a good person in the end. I feel like it would have been cool to see her being bad throughout the entire movie. For example, in Toy Story 3, Lotso was always bad, which was cool and menacing, and it kept the suspense up, which is a good factor in an overall plot. We also get to learn that Gabby always wanted someone to love her back. In the end, she finally got someone that would actually want to play with her, and it made a good closure to her character. One thing I found a lot of people are complaining about is that only these 4 characters had big moments and are basically the main characters of the movie. Even Buzz didn't get that much attention, as it really closes up Woody's story. Of course, Buzz was really important to Woody, as in the end, they said those final words, "to infinity and beyond." I felt like this story was really towards Woody. Buzz is now taking the leadership role of the Toy Story gang, and we also get to see the old gang from the first 3. It all ended as all of the characters had great closures to their stories.
Hello there, I'm that other George, and today I'll be discussing the animation in Toy Story 4. With the recent Pixar movies, be it Coco or The Incredibles 2, the animation continues to keep looking more and more impressive. I recently rewatched the very first Toy Story film, which is of course an absolute masterpiece. But something that really stood out to me was how dated some of the animation looked. Of course, this is mainly due to a limitation in technology, as opposed to a limitation in creativity. And actually, all of the character designs for the toys still look pretty solid for the most part. It was mainly just the environments and humans that stood out to me as looking quite bad. But in Toy Story 4, it all looks amazing. Just before the film started, they actually advertised the Lion King live-action remake, which most people agree looks quite bad because it's taking away the charm from the original animation by trying to look too photorealistic. And then Toy Story 4 begins, and it has both the charming animation with all of the great character designs just like in the first 3, but the detail in the animation is also stunning. There were so many scenes just leaping with vibrant colours and detail, which kept making me question whether it was a 3D animation or live action at times. At this point, it's almost cool to hate Pixar by saying they have zero ideas for projects and they keep relying too heavily on older ideas. But one thing you'll never be able to take away from them is how dedicated the animation team are.
Yo, what's good? I'm DALLSMICK, here to talk about how Toy Story 4 compares to the previous films. And as a slight twist, I also want to discuss some of the differences at the end. So I ended up watching the first 3 films back to back recently, and I found that it was kind of difficult to find a ton of similarities between the movies. Toy Story especially, it is a completely different film from the 4th by a long shot. The first film was more of a comedy that just had fun with the concept of being an organized group of toys while behaving like they're an office space. They hold staff meetings, they conduct seminars in a child's room, as toys, the writing and direction were vastly different from where Toy Story's gone now, but that's mostly due to the simplicity and just them having fun with the concept in general. One other key difference is that Toy Story 4 is pretty much a story centered around Woody, where he is the primary focus. Characters like Buzz and Jessie, or even like Rex and Ham, don't really get any sort of spotlight like they did in any of the other films. Small things like that made it a bit harder to compare each film, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. However, the biggest similarity between them are the themes that loom over the characters and help drive the plot. The themes of seeking a purpose, coming to terms with change, and accepting an inevitable future. Each film explores these themes on different levels and with differing degrees, but this is the thread that ties them all together. Toy Story 1 was a lot more simple in its approach, since it was just a story about Woody being jealous over a new toy. Buzz becoming the new favorite toy was a difficult reality for Woody to accept, but it's one that he ultimately does accept. And in accepting it, he builds a stronger foundation between Buzz and learns how to share the spotlight. And, well, you know what? They end up becoming best friends. It's not much, but that's mostly just because Toy Story was a very different movie than all the rest. As I said, it was a goofy film that embraces its creativity with clever humor and a well-made story. It's only when Toy Story 2 showed up that this concept was fleshed upon a lot more. In fact, this is what makes the final three films so similar, taking the themes I mentioned previously and expanding on them by introducing clever real-life concepts to aid the plot. Each movie does it differently enough to make it feel interesting. Toy Story 2 uses the concept of toy collectors and museum preservation to help construct the idea that eventually toys are going to be abandoned and forgotten by their children, so why not embrace this new change, being admired behind glass forever. The film also introduces Jessie, who felt betrayed over being abandoned and thought her purpose was just to be on display in a museum. But things change when Woody rolls around and tells her that she can open her heart up again and find comfort in being owned by another child. Wow, when I write it like that, it almost sounds really messed up. Toy Story 3 expands on the similar concept of abandonment, though paints daycare as a better alternative. Living in a home where you're always going to be played with by children that will always show up no matter what, it just sounds like a better gig. This comes after the toys feel betrayed by Andy wanting to get rid of them. There are other things that get thrown in the way, like Lotz's ideals and borderline dictatorship, though they realize that they have a new purpose with a new child. They can fulfill that purpose again with someone new. Even if they lost Andy, they can still move on. And Toy Story 4 introduces the Lost Toys, who just exist to be played with in an environment without ownership. Some toys are found and taken home, and others just embrace being on the road, free to do whatever they want. But on the flip side, Woody is struggling with his own feeling of losing his purpose. Since everyone but him is being admired and loved, he feels worthless. Despite doing everything he can to help Bonnie throughout the entire film, he eventually embraces that his purpose is no longer with everyone else. It's not an easy decision, but it makes him happy knowing that he's found a new purpose, helping toys find owners by being a lost toy. And his friends accept that this is his new fate and let him go. And that's really what I liked about this film and some of the other films. No matter where you are in life and no matter how you might feel or abandoned or without a purpose, you'll eventually find your way. At least that's kind of what I got from these last three films, and I think they pulled it off really well. One thing you'll notice with the characters in 2, 3, and 4 as well are the characters who are obviously affected by being abandoned and given away. Some people are sad over it and weren't able to come to terms with it, others are trying to deal with it, others become bitter and downright vengeful over it, while some other characters like Bo Peep have moved on and try to show the toy world that there's more to life than being stuck in a room. The concept that your purpose can change even after you think you've got everything figured out. Another similarity between 2, 3, and 4, the fact that some of these themes create villains to help push some of the negative themes, and, well, they have varying degrees of execution. Stinky Pete was fine, I guess. He didn't really do anything that made him feel like a bad character, but he wasn't anything too special either. Lotsa was just very contrived, which fits with the fact that everything else in Toy Story 3 was pretty contrived. This one's a little weird too. The ventriloquist dummies were kind of just dumb, if not a little traumatizing as well. But Gabby Gabby turned out to be a decent character, at least compared to Pete and Lotsa. They were both done in since they were bitter about not being loved, and then they were just adopted by people that were gonna indirectly make them pay for being horrible to everyone around them. And a lot of the problems I had with Lotsa were actually fixed with this character. Gabby Gabby was persistent on a goal, did whatever it took to reach her goal, and then, well, that was that. Woody hands over his voice component so that she can fix hers, and she doesn't pull any dirty tricks afterward. In fact, she was extremely grateful. Despite building her up as a villain, she just wanted to be perfect. However, the person she was trying to gain the attention of didn't want her. She obviously was depressed, but Woody and Bo help her find a new child, and she gets her own happy ending. She was flawed and desperate, but the fact that she wasn't a borderline villain like Lotsa made her a lot more sympathetic and made it really work. And this is why I wanted to break our desired formula to gush about how these moments made Toy Story 4 so fun to watch. Toy Story 3 had a lot of forced moments, things that really wanted to jerk your tears but felt contrived with how desperate of an attempt it was. This film, however, has a level of unpredictability to it that separates it from something like Toy Story 3 or even 2. You know Jessie is gonna get over her abandonment and enjoy living with Andy, and you know that Andy is going to come to terms with giving up his toys and giving them to a new home with Bonnie. All of that was just expected. Same with the villain reveals, it was predictable. Granted, Toy Story 2 is still my favorite of the 4 films, so it's not like I have a problem with it all the time, but Pixar really had embraced this predictability throughout the years. I went in anticipating what would happen, and I predicted a lot of plot points coming up as the film went, but the way they structured the themes and tie all the movies together wrapped everything up much more nicely than I could have ever expected. I thought Bo was gonna get over herself and come with Woody to live with Bonnie. I thought Gabby Gabby was gonna do the same thing, but instead the themes come together with all of these characters. Despite her first failed attempt that sent her into a depression, Gabby Gabby finds a new purpose and is loved by her new child, just like she wanted. Woody embraces the idea of living a new life and finding a purpose that makes him feel useful, even if it means closing the chapter with his old friends. I didn't expect any of this going in, and I have to applaud Pixar for that since I'd given up hope on them a while ago. Which is another similarity to the third movie, the fact that both of them do their best to wrap up the tale of Toy Story. However, this film does do it better. That just is an interesting similarity that I have to point out as well. I was pleasantly surprised, not only by how this movie would continue with the series themes, but also making a movie that defied my own expectations. I honestly thought going in this would be the film that would make me give up on Pixar for good, but I was wrong. Now I'm just gonna wait for whatever sequel comes out next.
Hey guys, Sam here, and now let's discuss a few more aspects that make this film really solid. The first one is the comedy, and it is great here. Now the big thing I like about the comedy in this franchise is that all the characters can actually be funny on their own. It doesn't just have to be the side characters that need to get a laugh out of us, the jokes can also come from the main characters too. And even the new characters they do introduce, like Ducky, Bunny, and Duke Kaboom, are pretty funny characters and they have their own distinct personalities. There are lots of really memorable funny scenes, like Woody trying to save Forky from being trash and his funny expressions, Buzz listening to his inner voice by pressing his action figure buttons, Jessie popping a tire on Bonnie's parents' RV, and during the climax, Mrs. Potato Head acts as the voice of their GPS and takes them on a wild and crazy roller coaster. No pun intended. But the funniest part has to involve Ducky, Bunny, and Buzz. Now, it's not when they're at the carnival, it's actually when they are in the antique store and they are trying to figure out how they're gonna get the owner's key. So Ducky and Bunny suggest they ambush the lady, to which Buzz obviously says no. Now, the first time I saw this, I thought it was pretty funny, but here's the surprising part. They used this gag not once, not twice, but thrice in less than a minute. And rather it be very annoying, it is absolutely hilarious. I won't give anything else away about what they do with this gag, but if you have seen the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's not just the comedy that's good in this movie, another part is the music from Randy Newman himself. He's been the composer for the entire Toy Story franchise, and honestly, even though I know he's not exactly well liked by many, if he didn't come back to do the music again, a major part of this movie would be gone. Hell, one producer actually said that it wouldn't be right if he wasn't back again. Some of the usual themes from the previous movies are back, as well as You've Got a Friend in Me, but there's also new instrumentals and 2 new songs, The Ballad of the Lonesome Cowboy and I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away. And they're fine songs. They're not like Oscar-worthy or anything, but they're alright for what they are. And finally, the little details in this movie are also really fascinating. The Easter eggs, the lighting, the little details on the characters' faces and their models, the colors, and even the cameos are unbelievable. We get cameos from Mel Brooks, Betty White, Bill Hader, Carl Weathers as a Combat Carl. Don't worry, he doesn't explode. And even Ricky Henderson. Yeah, one of the greatest baseball players of all time and one of the most popular A's and Yankees players ever makes a cameo in a Toy Story movie. That is awesome. And that's really a good word to describe this movie in my eyes. I don't know if I could say it's my favorite, but it definitely defied my expectations on how good it was gonna be. Bottom line, this movie is really great. It's got the drama, animation, and the comedy of the previous movies, but still manages to give us more fresh ideas and lots of fun. I highly recommend it. Final score, 9.6 out of 10.
Hey, thanks for watching this video long enough to see this embarrassing outro. And yes, this mask was completely made by me from plaster and paint, so go talk about it in the comments. Again, huge thanks to all 6 awesome creators who helped me with this video. They are truly awesome, so check out their channels in the description and follow them on their various social media platforms. This was one of my big ambitious projects of the summer, so expect more of this in the future. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to follow me on Twitter and subscribe and turn on all notifications. Remember,
We toys can see everything.
and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you... Okay, if you ever use this in the beginning and the ending, A.S.K, I swear I will kill you.